There's something to be said about hard-nosed full contact. It's like that raw rap all the way back to boom bap. Spikes up, Ty Cobb inspired killing the corners. Heating up with recklessness, we still getting warmer. Nevertheless, nothing can test, we bring it best. Wile E. Coyote mixed with Roadrunner, full comers. Holding your title hostage, the kings we smoke others. You're either with us or against us, it doesn't matter which. Scouting your weakness, we bring the wrath when we hit. There's never been a squad as raw as trash goes can spit. You might get bashed with a stick while I'm pounding the fence. Look around, you're a fish while I'm rounding it quick. Take a look at the base and sprint off with a fist in your face. No remorse, no mercy, no force can hurt me. The scouts purposely bring the pain, come try to work me. But there's a crew of dirty cats.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Another Wednesday night. Better late than never. Once again, it is the Blue Guys program. Live and in charge. Yeah, no rhymes tonight. Solemn on my end. I mean, I'm all right. I'm being funny. I think people are learning the hard way. Trying to text me Eagles jokes 2 days after Super Bowl will get you ghosted, blocked. I will not honor you with a response or an insult because you're not worth it. It's you should have had this ready Sunday. The fact it took you 2 or 3 days to come up with something weak at that, you don't get a response. You don't get a response. Anyway, I broke out the hat. I got myself the Super Bowl logo. I'll keep wearing it. I got myself a nice sweatshirt. I'm not going to stand up and show you, but on the back it has a message that I will pass to anyone who thinks this is an opportunity to be funny. No one likes this. We don't care. It's on the back of the goddamn sweatshirt. And I will continue to push that motto. Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs, by a 3-point margin, are the NFL champions for the 2023 season. Controversy, I guess. I thought the refs sucked, but it didn't lose the Eagles the game. I don't like that narrative. I don't like people posting pictures of the face mask on the fumble early in the first half there. Like, okay, the ball was already out of his hands. It didn't prevent him from recovering it. It didn't cause him to fumble. Get over it. The holding call, the end of the game on the 3rd and 9 play. It's quite funny to me because the actual NFL rule states that you can't, it basically says in layman's terms, you can't have holding within the first 5 yards. But also goes on to say, as long as you don't basically stop a receiver from being able to make a catch. I don't know if anybody noticed that there was no way that, Lippy Juju Schuster was going to catch that ball, let alone Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So get off it. I don't think Juju's Twitter was funny. I did like A.J. Brown's response about you needed Pat to resurrect your career, TikTok boy. I liked it. Defending a teammate. Well, I don't know. It might not be a teammate long. Anyway, they lost the game because the defense couldn't make a play and because your newest Arizona Cardinal head coach refused to be the least bit aggressive with the defensive line not getting anything done. And that's why they lost the game. The reason the defensive holding at the end is so painful is because Jalen Hurts was on one. Oh, wow, really? Why don't you just say it on the show? What happened to keeping it real, co-host?
Oh, I'm not keeping it real. I just didn't want to interrupt the pace of the wah, 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 wah.
I mean, not only did you post with an Instagram account, you went and used a YouTube one
no, it's
too.
Not Instagram. That's not Instagram.
Post.
That's not Instagram.
All right, how about you posted twice?
Yeah, take that L2. Yeah, take that L2. That's Twitch. But here's the third L. I mean, and I did it this way. Third L.
Wow.
You know that
at Subrute?
Yes, indeed. When you when you post from here in the actual app, it actually posts to all of the different places we stream, with the exception of Facebook, because of course Facebook is butt cheeks. Now, I didn't see the reason why I didn't say it was I wanted you to continue. I just wanted it to be somewhat background music.
Trying to get it out of the way, and this guy here again. Maybe I just take the sweatshirt off and hang it up in front of my camera with the back showing. They lost the game. I don't. And here's the best part about the Super Bowl being over. For us local in Arizona, we ain't got to worry about all this traffic bullshit. Road closure. I'll even admit to that. Get out.
Yes, leave.
Happy
and you
to
waste,
see you
leave.
Yeah, and don't think you waste management people are free from that either. Get out.
Hell no.
Get out.
Get out of here too. All of it. Beat it.
You know, I'm glad you're able to enjoy your fucking college frat days there for a couple days out on 16 and look like a complete and utter idiot. I did see one of my the disturbing video. I forget what day it was, but the thing that scared me was the guy had to own the same shirt that I actually own, a golf polo from Under Armour. It's pretty vibrant, and he was walking, but was already right on teetering on the L. Right, he's doing a hell of a job, weeble wobbling there, and he had to walk over a hill, and once he went over the hill, it was over. It was over, and then there were steps right there. And he was kind of at a 45-degree angle trying to hang in there with the beer, and just did a circle and went down. And it was bad. It was bad, bro. You can't. You're drinking Michelob Ultra. What are you doing? What it's not even. What is that, like 3% alcohol? Like what? You're embarrassing like human race here with your drinking. Okay, It's a golf tournament. I get what it is, but Jesus Christ, man. You got to pace yourself. It's a long day. And I think this was like 10:30. And I think the first day, Thursday, I started seeing posts on Instagram like 9 o'clock, a dude's passed out. And you know it's bad because their arms are flat and their hands up behind them as they're flat. You're not being arrested, so there's no reason why your hands should be that way. Unless you're completely trashed. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. The running of the fat guys is always entertaining because at the end of the day, folks, there's no fat guys in the front of that line waiting for the gate to get open. Okay? It's all thin, marathon running looking people that run out to 16 and get the first couple rows. You don't believe me? Watch the first couple golfers on 16, and then the fat guys get there. You start seeing the fat guys in the video late in the day because the thin people have left. No fat guys running the 16. I don't care what you call it. It's an embarrassment to anybody who learned how to hold their alcohol. And when I say alcohol, I'm talking about not Coors Light. That's water. Okay, not Michelob Ultra. Like, it's got to be at least a 5% alcohol by volume drink. All right. Maybe not as refined as you over there with your pinky out, but it's got to be something.
I got to do what I can do.
You're not. I'll take some shots. I don't give a shit.
It's all good.
I'm going to be just as loud as I was before the bowl game. And see, now all you Cowboys fans can go back to rooting for your shitty team and everybody else who was suddenly Chiefs fans. You're not fooling anybody. You're not pulling the wool over anybody's eyes. You can go back to root for your shitty teams now. You had a nice 2 weeks to feel like what it feels like when you root for a winner. Now you go back to your miserable existence, okay? And you see, I get you all next year because you now have a head coach who's not sure about anything but his own blitz. So best of luck on that.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference between me and you. See, I have no expectation of the Cardinals being shit. I expect them to be shit. You know what I'm saying? So when they are shit, you can't use it against me because I've already said they are shit. I'm not one of those fucking idiots who gets on here like, yeah, the Cardinals, we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. No, the fuck we're not. So you're nah. If anything, I'm telling you, this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like, my guy. But I will say the one thing that I'm feeling is I got so many fucking dubs this weekend, bro. All my calls were on point, man. Super Bowl on point. That wonderful UFC pay-per-view on Saturday, call on point. I mean, look, I'm sorry, I can't lose. That's all I'm saying. It feels great, and I wasn't actually a fan of either team, so I love it.
Well,
but I will say that was a really good game, though. I mean, all bullshit aside, and I'm not one of those people who's going to get in all the conspiracies and shit that people are talking about with reffing. Yes, there were some what I'll call questionable calls, and I say questionable because they could go on either way. It could be called or not called, etc. Fine, cool. I will echo something you said a little bit earlier. The fact that everybody was firing off on Juju Smith-Schuster was most definitely a plausible. Because Homeboy's a fucking clown, and I'm glad they called him on his shit. AJ Brown's comeback about Pat resurrecting his career was absolutely hilarious and 1,000% fucking accurate. Because if we're being honest, this cocksucker didn't do nothing all year. and then you're the main one. Want to get on there and be funny? No, boy, go back and sit down. I'm elated. I just like being right. I don't know. I don't give a fuck otherwise. I was happy that, but you know what else? I'm sorry. I apologize. One other thing that I did want to point out, or two other things. I'm sorry. One, you were right. Game was close. Second thing, I was absolutely excited that Jalen Hurts went the fuck off during that game. I love it. I mean, yes, they didn't get the win. Cool. However, he played a phenomenal fucking game, and I love it. Which has been my point, all along. Fuck the Eagles, but I want Jalen Hurts to do very well.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of non-involved people were very upset about the defensive holding call at the end, because basically what the robbery was that anyone who was interested in the game got robbed of the opportunity to see Hurts possibly go down and drive him down for either the tying field goal or the touchdown to win, or die trying. Shout out Biggie. It's disappointing as an Eagles fan not to see that, because the guy was locked in, and once again, as happened a lot during the season when the team wasn't performing, Hurts basically said, hold my beer, I'll take care of this. Daddy's got it. Everybody just have a seat, and willed them into the game. I mean, they were up 10 going into halftime. And then, Chiefs come right out. And I knew it. I think I even posted on Facebook, get ready for a wild ride, because the Chiefs were entirely too quiet up to that point, considering Mahomes, And I think Kelsey still ended up with 6 or 7 catches, but I felt like watching the game, that was the one thing they did a pretty good job on, was keeping him quiet. Secondly, especially in the second half, but it was, I've heard all the narratives, and Doug Peterson, helped them win. They took some plays from the Eagles-Jaguars game. And look, it was a bad second half for any Eagles coach. It's just they got out coached by a guy who now is in the conversation as one of the top 3 coaches ever. Andy Reid's right there with Belichick now. And the reason you could put him there, in my opinion, is look at all the guys he's coached that have had an impact, whereas Belichick, I don't think any of his guys have had an impact. Romeo Crennel, Charlie Weiss, McDaniels is still hanging on, but look, the Raiders don't look good, let's be honest. Tim Tebow even got him whatever wins he had in the NFL that first year in Denver. So I can't think of a Belichick coach who's done something yet. We'll see. But look at the Andy Reid guys. Doug Peterson, Super Bowl win. Matt Nagy, not so much. But there's been a couple guys who are having a lot of success under the Andy tree. I think Frank Reich is under the Andy tree.
It's always weird. It's always weird for me when people start talking about coaches who have coached for someone and the coaching tree thing, because by and large it isn't nearly as successful as people want to pretend. Because even in the statement you're saying, it's like by and large the guys who are successful aren't always actually from any tree, or they're not from a significant tree. The ones that come from these super successful locations, you kind of either want to attribute it to that original coach, like with Belichick, for example, right? You want to attribute it all to him, or you want to attribute it to when they are all under him versus, oh, it's because of them. That coaching tree thing just always seemed like an easy media talking point. It doesn't actually pan out like most of the time. A lot of the guys, like you mentioned, from the Patriots, a lot of guys that, the typical NFL way of doing things is a team wins, and then you immediately go and grab all of their coordinators and you expect to win because the other team won without actually paying attention to all of the other intangibles that go along with it. But, nonetheless, someone's over there talking about Rihanna's Yon Fest. I'm
going to get into that. I'm going to get into that in a second. But that's the one thing I guess it's changed in the NFL. The hot name, the hot thing. I remember years ago, guys who would make the Super Bowl, they didn't get hired off like this. There was a lot of, well, they haven't proved themselves yet. It's only 1 year. A lot of that stuff. And now, here's what I don't understand, and there must be something that I'm not hearing about that's been kept secret. And it's my team, all right? I follow the Eagles, but I find it hard to believe in year 2 that both of these coordinators, boom, jobs. While Eric Bieniemy, doesn't get a job. Even Kellen Moore has done it for years. And him and the Cowboys agreed to part ways. So you're telling me Kellen Moore, now granted, the Chargers was like, thank you, and scooped him up. Yeah, he wasn't even, fired for 2 hours before I remember seeing the Chargers OC news. So I don't think these guys impressed both the Colts and the Cardinals in these interviews so much that they had to have this guy. And that's what they're going to say, because they have to drum up interest, these are the guys. It's going to be rough sledding. The Colts got to get a quarterback, and the Cardinals have one that you're not going to see till November, let alone when he does come back. You don't even know if guys on the team like him. So I find it hard to believe suddenly these were the guys. I'm not mad the Eagles lost them because I really feel like they're more easily replaceable than some guys who were established in the league. But, they're talking about Bieniemy might move on to another offensive coordinator position. That doesn't I expected Cowboys fan to say that Kellen Moore was a waste. Consider you guys led the NFL in offense 2 years. When you have a quarterback who can't perform in the clutch, it makes an offensive coordinator look real bad. And that's truth. I ain't even breaking balls. That's just truth. Anyway, it's weird to me that all of a sudden, let's get the hot name. Cliff was another one that really hadn't proved anything up until that point, and the Cardinals got him. So I guess it's the shift.
The Cardinal one is hard to even put in the same vicinity. Dude was losing. in college, he was consistently fucking losing. He was about to take a job with USC. There was no reason, or let's say it this way, there was no logical concept that is in the vicinity of what you were just discussing that was used for Cliff. And in fact, if you remember, and I don't know how close you followed that part, but if you remember, probably the first 2 months after he was hired, there was a whole lot of, what the fuck? Why did they fucking hire this guy? And everyone thought, oh, they hired him because of Kyler, right? And everyone was basically trying to find a justification as to why they hired Cliff, because in essence, Cliff was just fucking losing, and he wasn't doing anything, super revolutionary. Number one, number two, his offenses even in college were getting found out pretty much. That there's that turn when you see a coach or an OC who just isn't adapting. And they're doing what they're doing, and they're sticking with what they're doing, and they're running it into the ground. And then all the defenses and defensive coordinators, et cetera, they catch on. And they start strategizing against it. And that's what was happening to Cliff. And then he was going to USC. And then the Cardinals said, hey, let's do what we do. Let's fuck this up too. Come on, you can be our coach, guy. But I do agree with every other aspect of what you said. I just wanted to make sure that we're clear that Cliff should not be even remotely mentioned in that same general vicinity. It's not.
Yeah, they came up with Pat Mahomes, but they failed to mention the record at Texas Tech.
Right. He basically wasted him.
Right. They talked about his connection with the Rams, but it turned out he was basically an offensive assistant at the time.
Right.
Writing down play calls and making up the boards. Anyway, I think I guess the criteria has severely shifted to where just a common guy who sits on his couch watching the games goes, wait, what the fuck? So,
Right.
okay, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I think
Right.
that's the one thing I'm not worried about with the Eagles. I think I feel like they got decent personnel to make these changes. We'll see what they do with defensive coordinator. I know that they were hoping that Fangio would be available if this happened, and he went on with Miami. So I don't know. I know he helped out for the Super Bowl. Apparently stealing money because they didn't look like they made a lot of defensive adjustments for the, but whatever. Hey, Chiefs are champs. Mahomes gets to add to his legacy. Time will tell if he starts getting the Brady calls. I don't know. He certainly got the point down like Brady did, so we'll see. But Chiefs just proved a point. Everybody was like, well, they don't have Tyreek. They can't win. They can't. All right, well, yes, they can. Regardless of the calls or the $800,000 field that nobody could get any traction on. They got it done. Bad look, NFL. Bad luck. You're gonna charge people $12,000 for a VIP experience. The least you can do is make sure the field's goddamn playable. These guys could have played at fucking Rio or Rose Mofford and had a better time than having to bring 3 different sets of cleats to your premier game of the year. All right, moving on to the halftime show. All I'm gonna say is this. I love now we live in a culture of extremes, okay? If you didn't like it, it's the worst thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And if you liked it, it's the greatest Super Bowl show ever. First of all, definitely wasn't the worst Super Bowl halftime I've ever seen.
Definitely wasn't the best.
Definitely wasn't the best.
Nah.
I think it was a cool concept that, while in theory should have looked cool, ended up looking like, and there was enough memes about it, a level of an old 8-bit video game. All right,
that was of no confidence for the Chancellor Valorum. God damn it!
Like we had a Donkey Kong level there. We had a Super Mario Brothers level.
That one was good. That one's good too. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Look, everybody's pissed off about the lip syncing. Listen, that's been going on for how many years, man? They got Britney back in the day. Who was the last? It's always gone on that way, and I miss a live band.
What I think it always highlights the fact that people just don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Dude, there's legit no fucking way anybody is going and doing the Super Bowl full live vocals all by themselves.
Yeah, not anymore.
You're just not. You're just not. Because the same way that everybody's bitching about it being boring, blah 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 blah. As soon as a fuck up happens, that's the first thing everybody's talking about. Oh my god! Fuck it. Then, dude, honestly, I watched a few minutes of it. I'm not a Rihanna fan. Let's just say that ahead of time, right? I never really listened to her songs other than, what you kind of get peppered with over the radio over the years, right? But I guess it's the NFL succeeded in that there were a ton of fucking people who do not watch football who were watching the Super Bowl, or at least a few minutes of the second quarter, in order to watch Rihanna. And when you looked at the numbers,
a lot of people.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers, there were more people watching Rihanna during the halftime show. The Rihanna concert that happened to have a football game around it, than actually watch the football game. And yeah, it's always feast or famine when you when you have a yearly event of the size of the Super Bowl. And also, last year was fucking phenomenal for some of us, because what I still remember was there was a huge population of fuckboys who were really mad that show during the halftime show last year with Dre and everybody went down. So, the biggest key is no matter what, somebody's going to be pissed. Somebody's going to be mad some way or the other. And we all lost out because we didn't see any titties this year. So, I mean, to me, it is what it is. If you're watching the Super Bowl, if you're watching the Super Bowl and you're worried about the halftime performer, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's very easy to top last year's because nothing's going to top Prince.
You said very easy. You said very.
Yeah, because the reason is I wanted to point out that I don't think Prince is ever going to get topped.
Never.
Now, look, last year was very cool in, Yeah, because to get into that great category of Super Bowl halftime show, I think you need some synergy, okay? So, for example, Prince When It Rained, okay? And just the show trucked on, he didn't give a shit. Plus, Prince is just a showman that
Prince is Prince.
Sadly started getting the proper credit after he had passed away. Right. Last year, the synergy was amazing, where it being in Los Angeles, the sets that they came up with to chronicle Dre's career to a certain extent, the guest stars, which are usually a couple, like they had everything really fit last year to tell the story. And the problem then with the halftime show is that if you don't have this spectacle, it's going to be for me, like because of what's come before it. And now you got people trying different things. The Weeknd, I didn't get it. I didn't get what, I understand we're trying to do something different. I didn't get it. The Rihanna thing, I'm sure sitting around in an office and we're going to have these different platforms and they're going to go up and down and to the side and then it's going to look cool. And it didn't look cool.
Though. But I guess that's the problem. I guess that's the problem. And we keep doing it and we'll probably keep doing it the rest of the show. I don't think I'm or you were the target for having Rihanna on that show. Because some of the people who did watch that shit for Rihanna were fucking elated, even by the goofy ass set. I'm with you. I thought the set looked goofy. I kept looking, and that's why I laughed so hard when I saw the Chancellor Valorium comment. Because that's exactly what I thought. I was like, "Yo, why when the fuck? Where is Yoda gonna start jumping off this motherfucker fighting Palpatine, right?" And yeah, I saw one of them almost fall off, but I don't think we're the target. I think the target people who were looking for that show were impressed. I also would say that a lot of the targeted people for Rihanna fans didn't give a fuck if she stood up there on a cardboard box.
That's what I was just gonna say.
They don't give a shit.
Well, it's my favorite artist, so she could stand up there in a wife beater T-shirt, and that's not that. We've lowered the standard, right? They just showed up, so I'm going to defend them until it's possible to like the artist and say that the show sucked, all right?
But it's also possible to like the artist. But it's also possible that they liked that performance and the setup and how it was. I mean, that's very possible. I don't want to say that it sucked because I think it sucked because someone else thinks. I mean, I want to say, yeah, I think it sucked, right? That's my opinion. But then we're crossing into that. Well, if I think it sucks, then everyone thought it sucks. And that's where I see a lot of people do it. Not just this show, because I saw the same thing with the Dre one. I kept seeing comments during the show where motherfuckers were like, "Yo, this is garbage. Why is this here?" I kept seeing like who authorized that, and they had very much the same kind of comments, like, "Hey, well, I don't like this. This isn't any good. This sucks. Why would anybody like that?" And then you had like thousands of people who were like, "Yo, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my fucking life." It's all perspectives, and you can never win. You'll never be able to win because there's always going to be different positions or different viewpoints on it. But
right, I mean, dude. I hate the change in society where everything's got to be, like I said, the best ever or the worst thing I've ever seen. Like there's a middle ground that we just have abandoned in everything.
Yeah, it's
frustrating, and it's frustrating. Old guy get off my lawn type shit. Now it's frustrating on GOAT conversations. Yes. It's frustrating on the greatest. I saw the article right after the game. The greatest this is why it's the greatest Super Bowl ever played. And it doesn't have to be the tops or the worst.
It can just be good.
It's okay to be good. It can be the fourth best Super Bowl you've ever watched, okay?
It can be
doesn't
mediocre.
Take away from the fact it was fun.
Hey, a C is still a grade. You know what I mean? Everything does not have to be A++. Blah, 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 blah. Everything doesn't have to be 99.99999. Some things can be 65, 45, 85. Yeah. Now, me personally, like I said earlier, I'm not a big fan of Rihanna. Did I think the show, which I'm going to just call it a show, did I think the show was dope? I'm not a fan. So she couldn't have done anything. There's nothing she could have done to make me feel like, yeah, I'm saying there's nothing she could have done to make me say, oh my God, it was great. Why? Because I'm not a Rihanna fan. On the other hand, using your Prince example, right? Prince could have just stood there and waved his hand in the air, and I'd have been excited. I'd be like, this motherfucker's the shit. Like, it's fucking Prince. What the fuck you talking about, right? And it's all perspective. But, I mean, like you said, I 100% agree with you, dude. There's way too much focus on everything is the best And now we're at a point where everybody's comments come off like bestest or restest.
Right, and
Like,
if you don't agree, not only do we disagree, but now you're a horrible person, and you don't agree in my opinion, so I'm going to cancel you because you can't understand why this is the best of fill in the blank. That's the problem. Why don't you take that energy and grow a set of nuts and stop getting offended by like different colors and pronouns? How about that? Anyway, and the thing I disagree on is this: if Prince had phoned it in. I think most people would have called him out and be like, "Come on, man, what do we?"
Yeah, you're right.
Because I've seen it. That doesn't happen anymore. And man, that's the one thing I appreciated about Rihanna's show is there were no cameos. She tried to do it on her own. Now, whether that was because people said, "Fuck you, I ain't getting on no platform," or she decided not to, doesn't matter. But I
don't think you can really get too many people out there with Rihanna. I don't think you can get there. I think okay, now we're talking music, right? Fuck all this entertaining and of the masses bullshit, right? Rihanna's primary major hits are not with other people, number one. Number two, the ones that she's actually appeared on that everyone is aware of or that knows, those were not going to happen. Eminem was not showing up for her to do her hook on his song.
Not to mention the subject matter now in our current time, sir.
Exactly. Okay. Kanye was not fucking showing up, or more importantly, the NFL wasn't fucking having Kanye. Like when you really look at
let him in Arizona.
Exactly. The bigger songs that she has are songs that she did. She did all of the fucking hits that Rihanna has. That the moment they come on, even if you don't like Rihanna, even if you're not a fan, the moment you come on, you can't help but hum a couple of the words because you've heard them infinite number of times, whether it's at a fucking grocery store, a mall, an elevator, riding down the road on the radio, whatever the fuck it is, or during an NFL game, because they play a lot of her shit. Like We Gonna Run This Town has played a million times in lead up to an NFL game. I'm just saying, I think that had a lot to do with it. Number two, I mean, dude, one thing about Rihanna, especially a pregnant Rihanna, how do you do that show any different than what she did? You get other people involved, she has to move around. You get the other people involved, she has to do other things. There's those in and outs because you get other people around, she's going to have to do some type of wardrobe changes or something, movement of some sort beyond what she probably could have done as a pregnant woman. But I think also the fact that she really hasn't performed in a number of years. She hasn't, been engaged, involved, etc., because she had the other baby. Now she's having this one. I think it was more of a hat tip, Rihanna, you're the shit. We know what's up. We know if we have Rihanna on, we're going to get 15 million women who wouldn't give a single flying fuck about the Chiefs or the Eagles. I mean, shout out to the NFL for their marketing fucking prowess. But I know the rest of us are over here like, yeah, I could have did something else. And I just did. Like once it was on, I think I saw two songs. I saw when the platform brought her down and she was down basically at the ground. I saw the one part where it looked like somebody was about to trip over the shit. And then I went and started doing something else.
I remember I ended up having a cigarette or two. I think I ate, and then I made a joke about, oh look, it's a wonderful life played out in real life with all the, with all the winter jackets and whatnot. I will say this last
Apex a little bit.
Yeah, last thing on that. All right, shout out A$AP Rocky. Get in there, big dog. Get in there. You're 2 for 2.
Get in there.
Didn't even give her a minute, bro. I was like, no.
Lock it up. Lock it up.
Smart, smart man, that A$AP Rocky.
Respect, dude, Flacco.
Tip of the cap there.
Respect, dude, pretty Flacco. I can't hate, man. I have a special love for A$AP Rocky. That motherfucker raps his ass off, dog.
And he's really good, but it's just funny. Like, get in there, bro. Diversify, my man. It's Wu-Tang Financial up in this bitch. Diversify.
Yes,
anyway, real quick on the commercials. First of all,
I don't really give a fuck
if you idiots got busted with the Tubi commercial, then you weren't paying attention last year on the Disney Plus one. So forget it. You should have known that was coming. Did you watch the one I told you to watch before I start talking about it?
Not gonna lie, I haven't had a chance. I didn't even try.
All right, so
let me say one thing. Let me say one thing before you get into that, because it'll be a minute. I'm not really. I'm not one of those people who's driven by those Super Bowl commercials. I couldn't give a shit. Most of the time, I only see them because I happen to be watching that part of the Super Bowl. I'm also not that big into the Super Bowl as it is. So yeah, I haven't seen shit, and I haven't had a chance to go back and check the one you have. Back to you. I'm sorry about that.
I just look. I've lowered the standard. All right. I don't look for like, oh, that's so thoughtful, and they thought that. No, I don't care. If it makes me giggle, it's pretty much dad jokes at this point with the Super Bowl commercials. I'm not looking to be blown away, but the one of the ones I enjoyed, and I don't think it made anybody's top 5 list, which I was very disgusted with the ones they picked. I usually am. Uber One, they got representatives to go to Diddy and ask him to give him a hit, and Diddy has someone behind him. It's probably somebody dressed up. I didn't recognize him. Could have easily been the guy, Key and Peele dressed up, but he's basically speaking for Diddy. Like, Diddy doesn't do jingles. And, oh, you want a hit? I'll give you a hit. So basically they bring in all these one-hit wonders from over the years, singing their songs to Diddy in the studio. You had Montel Jordan. I forget her name, but she had this one girl had a hit like late 90s. So it's funny. They even brought in What Does the Fox Say guys in their costumes. Diddy just say, no. And it ends up being Hadaway. But they changed the lyrics of What Is Love. And it was funny to me. It was funny, and I'm not doing it justice. Breaking Bad was okay. It's kind of old hat. And then the Sarah McLachlan one for Bush Light was rather humorous for me. That she started doing her spiel about Save the Animals, and the guy from Bush Light pops the top of the beer right in the middle of her speech, and she's sitting with a wolf. That's a wolf. See, you saw one of them. So anyway, they've gotten worse as the year go on, so I don't, but the Diddy one I thought was funny from a music perspective and from a Diddy basically making fun of himself perspective. Like he got the joke. You know what I'm saying? And I always appreciate that because I wasn't sure Diddy always got the joke, especially the making the band joke, cheesecake across the Brooklyn Bridge and yada, yada, yada. Hot fire!
Dylon.
Everybody talks about Charlie Murphy, and they should, but, I don't know, man. Dylon is still my favorite.
Dylon. Mm-hmm.
And the fact they got Chopper and the other guy to be in the parody was even better. Or everybody. I think it was everybody, wasn't it? They had the whole band except Dylon, which I probably be pissed about.
No, I think Dylon, and I think it came out of basically Dylon was like, nah, fuck that. Speaking of which, I thought it was pretty funny right now because you kind of mentioned whether Diddy got the joke, and Dylon definitely did not get the joke.
No.
Yeah,
I think it bought him.
Not having that shit, bro. He was not having that shit.
No, but it bought him like an extra 3 minutes of fame there because a couple hip hop stations would interview him about it. But here's what I'm doing now. Yeah, nothing. Stop.
Yeah. We don't care, bro. We've never really cared all that much. We only cared because it was kind of funny on the show. That's about it.
The other big thing of the weekend. Yep, somebody's right in line with me. Was the big fight, man. Big fight. Man, I listen, I had Volkanovski 3-2 myself. I did. Not gonna lie. I have a bad feel. Look, it was close enough. It could have went either way. What I'm upset about is one of the judges had it 49-46 Islam, and I've watched the fight back, and in no world where actual, intelligent people exist do I see that fight being 49-46 Islam. So again, you don't leave it up to the judges, and Volk knew that because that last 30 seconds, he was trying to knock him the hell out, and I think he came close. And Islam ain't going to admit it. I'm telling you, I think he was close because Lowe said it to me in a text message. Volk looks like he could go 3 more rounds, and Islam's done for the night. And that's
Islam was looking like,
truth.
man, fuck this shit. Islam looked like, man, fuck this shit. I'm gone. Fuck all this Australia, Perth bullshit. I'm out of here, bro. And he's just huffing and he's beat up. His face looks like he's just worn. Fucking Volk's over there like, yeah, I mean, fuck it. I did what I could, but I fucking love it. I love that fucking guy, man. I love that guy. That's all I know.
I agree that I agree with the ranking that he's still the #1 pound-per-pound fighter because he went into
And
a
he
higher
should.
weight class and he held his own, arguably won the fight. So,
Yeah.
you don't automatically just give it to Islam because he won on a decision, man. You got to watch the actual fight, and I agree with that.
I would also
Islam
add
was
to
the
that,
heavy favorite.
I would also add to that, though, it's kind of like what we all say when it's a title fight in general. You got to beat the champion, right? In this case, the pound for point. Yeah, and I don't mean beat as in win the fight. I mean, he had to be very decisive about that victory. And there were enough people, including the commentators and practically everybody in the world, where it was pretty split, where everybody was like, yo, this is really close. No one felt like Islam just dominated, right? And all you kept seeing right after the fight and the subsequent days after the fight was Volk made him look fucking human. Even DC said the shit. And DC is like the ultimate
the flag carrying member of the Khabib
homer.
club.
Like, yeah, he is the extra homer. And even he was like, Volk made him look very, very fucking human, beatable, everything. And and I guess the bad part about it, I think the bad part about it was it kind of exposed Islam as seemingly somewhat one-dimensional. And I say that in a weird way because he has relied so heavily on his extra superior fucking wrestling and grappling and submissions to basically run through the 5, 6, 7 dudes that he's fought in the UFC. I would not claim that fight to be a robbery, but what I would say is it demonstrated that this dude is not what everyone wants to believe he is quite yet against someone who is what you would call of the same caliber. I think the fight against Charles Oliveira gave people a little too much confidence in Islam because Charles made some mistakes. And the one thing I will give is Islam will not allow you to make mistakes. He will fucking capitalize on them 100% of the time. I wouldn't say Volk was mistake-free, but he was as damn close to mistake-free, or when he made a mistake, he very, very quickly rectified it to a point where Islam couldn't do anything about it. And it was I think it was even more noticeable in the one round where, essentially Islam has the body triangle on him and Volk's just working. I mean, working the whole time, full fucking pace, going, hitting, swinging, everything. He's still working. He's talking. He's saying everything. Every other fight that I've seen in which Islam has gotten someone in that position, the fight has ended shortly thereafter. And so Volk's just like, yo, we working. And there was a point even where, where Islam kind of
he was doing the...
Yeah, Islam just kind of
stopped. Volk kept just like, tapping him.
Right. And then
he made the happy, like, I'm all right.
One. Yeah, and then Volk got him one good. And Islam, you could see where Islam was like, wait, what the fuck did this guy just... That's where it was like, okay, now we're being more realistic. I'm agreeing with almost everybody who's been in the chat. Yes, I agree. Someone in the chat said, yeah, he lied on his back and got hit in the face for 3 minutes.
Right.
I'm of the same mind. It was hard for me to give that round to Volk because ultimately ground control was Islam's throughout that period of time. But that right there for me is the round that turned any judge one way or the other, or any viewer one way or the other. Because to me, that's the round that made the difference in the fight. First, the other ones are easy.
Yeah, right. I know that they gave him credit for the ground control.
Mm-hmm.
And my argument is, I understand what the rule is, but I don't really consider it ground control because he's not letting him up to fight.
Up.
He's not, and he got hit a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you cross your legs and you get credit. No, you get a little credit. Here's the thing I saw that we hadn't seen before. Okay. There's a bunch of little things, but at the end of the day, we have not seen Islam have any doubt whatsoever in any fight that he was just going to screw somebody up, whether wrestling or, what I saw, especially after that, because that was round 2, all right, and Volk laid there making jokes. I'm all right. He's doing, hey, how you doing? Waving at people, punching them. How you doing?
Was that 2 or 3?
I thought it was 2, but I might be 3.
You're probably right. I'm not even arguing it. You're probably right. I just didn't remember.
I saw doubt on Islam's face.
I agree.
He was not as decisive in his going for his take. Listen, every other guy, he waits, and gets that takedown. Usually the first time he tries it. In that fight, first one didn't go, remember? Then he got him up against a cage, and Volk spun him around real quick and said, not this time, buddy. And you can tell Islam was like, oh, wait a minute.
He's like, wait a minute. What the fuck? Hold on here, bro. Yeah.
And then there was one where he almost, a couple he got him on the ground, and Volk kept working, stayed patient, and I think Islam actually didn't have that last oomph to keep the guy down, and Volk just had more energy and pushed right back up.
I agree.
A guy who was in a less weight class.
Right.
I think Islam did not give Volk enough respect on his strength, and he got popped up a couple times where he wasn't going to shoot for the takedown as quick and as decisively as he would in his other fights. He got that body triangle because Volk fucked up and he knew it. And you can see the frustration on his face, like, man, what am I doing? I shouldn't even be here.
Agreed.
I appreciate the ref picking him up the one time.
Yeah, because that shit was getting a little. It was no movement. It was no effort. It was no effort to advance position. It was just you. And like you said a little bit earlier, he was just holding him there. And some of it is exactly the other part that you just mentioned, that he thought he could do what he normally could, and realized that he couldn't, and he froze. And I don't ever want to talk about a professional like that, because that dude can do a million things better than me. But from a viewer standpoint, it looked like he froze. It looked like it was one of those moments where it was like, wait, this is usually where they go down. This is usually where they're out. And then
there's no plan B.
He's not gone.
Yeah.
What the fuck do I do? And if you notice, rounds 4 and 5, Islam really looked like, what the fuck am I doing here? Why is this guy not gone? And then Volk was like, I almost want to say round 4 and 5, Volk seemed like he had more energy than in round 1 and 2. That was what was crazy. Was like, he came out round 4, especially round 5. He came out like on fire, and Islam was just kind of like, yo, like, dog, calm this shit down.
Yeah,
I'm trying to win right here, bro. Yeah, that was crazy. Well, and that's the whole fifth round. That whole fifth round.
Yeah,
that whole fifth round, Islam was just like, yo, I gotta stay up. I gotta stay upright. I gotta stay alive. That's really it. It's crazy.
But, Volk said something. I think it was after the first round. The corner microphones.
Yeah.
And one of his corner guys, is he strong? And he turned him dead on and said, no, it's not. It's not what we thought.
I love it.
And it showed.
Yeah.
And I think everybody talked about, and I think this is the thing that got exposed and why Islam's got to be trained a different way, I think, from now on, is that everybody kept talking about his striking but hadn't seen it. So because he was so dominant in this Dagestani wrestling and holding guys down and everybody just assumed, well, they trained so hard that he's got to be at least a decent striker, right?
Yeah.
But Volk exposed, like, I took every one of his best punches and I'm fine. Right. So now I think guys will be much more apt to test him, to come in tight like Volk did, the dirty boxing, as long as you're watching out for the knee. And Volk got a little eager, and he almost got clipped a couple times with the knee. But once he got past the knee, Islam had nothing for him. He was throwing a lot of backup shots, man, and Volk was getting inside, and somebody said had the reach advantage. Because Islam was backing up, he didn't know what to do. He was literally trying to hit him to get away, and Volk's trying to put that dude out. He's throwing hooks and uppercuts, not to tag him, to put him down.
I agree. I totally agree.
And, the one round got, basically held that off, delayed it by, holding him down. But you saw what happened at the end of the fifth, man. He caught enough of them to get him off balance and then pounced on him. And look, we set another 30, 40 seconds there. I think Islam's going to sleep, dude. I really think that.
Yeah, totally. Different.
He did a real good job of just keeping his hands up and trying to guard it, taking a full shot. But Volk was that close to just, you're not going to get them all, brother. And I'm throwing. So, here's the thing off of that fight, right? Yair's a smart dude to come out and say, hey, let's fight Mexico. Because look, if I watch that fight against Islam, I'd be almost upset that I won. Because I love Yair. I do. All right. He owned Josh Emmett. All right.
Yes,
and he should have. But
yes,
look, man, if you watch Volkanovski in his last 4 fights, he continues to do something that I can't remember any other fighter doing. He's gotten better over a very long period of time in UFC terms, all right? Every great fighter had a down or like, Izzy, John Jones, DC. They've all done it. I can't remember anybody going this long and just continuing to go up.
Continue to improve. Yeah, and continuing
to improve. Yair's a little off, he's outside the box. He's kind of wirely. You don't know what he's going to do. Look, man, I think your winning streak's about to fucking stop because Volkanovski, can now turn his attention. All right, you better fight him in outer space and take gravity out of it to have a shot. Like you won it in Mexico because it might be your last go round, brother. You might not make it out of the first round because look, Volkanovski is now he's gonna be fucking. The last thing you want to do is fight Volkanovski off a loss in his home weight division. All right, I don't see how you're having much of a chance. But anyway, great fight, probably fight of the year. And Islam is still, when he talks that shit now, it's not as I can't take it as seriously now. I can't take it as seriously.
Especially now that he's been doing nothing but whining since then. Since that fight, now he's been doing nothing but fucking whining. Oh, people don't respect me. I did this. Shut the fuck up, dude. Like you like legit, you got the fast track because of your homeboy, first of all. And then beyond getting the fast track, you've done. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from him either, though, because I don't want to act like, oh, he's just a product of that. Because I mean, legit, dude's legit. However, all he's done is whine since then. He hasn't even flat said, you know what, dude, I might have underestimated, dude. He hasn't said anything like that.
But he made the joke.
Yeah,
he made the joke about Volk got 1 round. Or no, I'm sorry. He said he got 30 seconds, and he was talking about the end of the 5th round. Like, bro, you watched the fight back? That's what you think?
Yeah, you got pieced up most of that fucking shit. You just fucking hugged him all the time. Thought you were gonna be able to fucking submit him like you've been doing all these other half-ass dudes. Because I mean, he fought what 1, 2 dudes in the top 10, and the second one was for the title. And yeah, he beat. I mean, and we all say this about the MMA, dude. All it takes is one punch, right? And essentially that punch when he hit Charles, that's what put the game away. Even though he submitted him with the triangle choke, the punch is what put him away. Yeah, and we all know that Charles is prone to taking a few punches. And he could get away with that with Justin Gaethje, right? He can get away with that with Michael Chandler. He's not getting away with that with Islam. Islam is looking to lock that shit up right then. You know what I'm saying? The rest of them were looking for the big entertainment punch, whereas Islam's just like, nah, I got you. Now I'm gonna put you down. You know what I'm saying? That's nuts. I do want to bring up the one thing about the Dan Hooker thing. Yo, man, come on, bro. First, I don't believe Dan Hooker. I like Dan Hooker as a fighter, but that comment was so fucking full of shit. Like, bro, you just pulled that straight out of your ass.
Right out of your ass.
I mean, dripping poop, dude. You just pull it straight out. No one else could fucking substantiate the bullshit. I did like the fact that Islam's co-manager was like, this guy's a fucking bum. I'm parafrasing.
Yeah, you're still mad. You're still mad we choked you out. So I don't,
I loved it, bro. I was like, he had him for that shit. But
Volk didn't co-sign it, but said, look, all Volkanovski said, they took it out of context, was, it wouldn't surprise me. The dude went to, 170 for 167 or something. Whatever. But he said, wouldn't surprise me. I think Volk has only grew his legend with the way he's reacted after this. And
correct.
Basically saying he felt like he did enough to win the fight, but he hasn't been ungracious. He's given Islam his credit for it. So that's only going to help Volkanovski. Totally it only is.
Totally respect that.
Moving on, a couple other things. So we got the announcement about the next Ultimate Fighter and give Dana credit. Take advantage of a situation. I never thought in a million years this would happen. But, I mean, I want to see the piece that he's given McGregor to get him to do a whole show, let alone just a fight. So I guarantee you it's going to be good because Conor's making $1 off it. But listen, at the end of the day, Justin Gaethje had the comment of all comments about the Ultimate Fighter in that what did you see it? Or okay,
I did.
I'm not surprised Conor likes fighting guys I beat. He ain't wrong. He's not wrong.
Somebody so when I saw it on I saw that comment on the Boisterous Boys page on IG, and the comment section was pretty much like, yeah, so he's fighting the one dude that you beat. the rest of them starched your ass. What about them? And that's where I was like, He's fighting one dude. Now you're saying he's always fighting. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. I love Justin Gaethje, but dude,
I like that he went
dude
after
is a
Conor.
crash dummy, bro. He is a fucking crash dummy, bro.
Why does Michael Chandler keep getting caught in the fucking crossfire of this shit when
bro.
all he's done is come into the UFC and fight the top guys?
And just fight
His
everybody.
The record sucks, man. But if you watch the fights, he's there, man. He's hung in there with every guy and almost won every fight against the top guys, and I'm tired of him getting disrespected. There's certain guys that just, you're not going to win.
I could also say that he himself basically lost each of those fights. And when I say that,
it's his whole philosophy.
What I mean by that, right? What I mean by that is, at the end of the day, the job is to win fights. Yes, you can win that fight by a knockout. Yes, you can win that fight by a submission, etc. But the job is to win fights. And even in the Poirier fight, right? Chandler was in bull, right? The moment that he made a mistake, Dustin made him pay for it. And that's every single one of these fights. Same thing happened with Charles Oliveira. He had clipped Charles a couple of good times. Fucked it off. And he's exciting. Someone else in the chat just said the same thing. He's super exciting. But I guess we have to separate the exciting part from the fact that in a lot of cases, his efforts to be exciting are causing him to lose some of these fights. I still stand by the fact that had he been a little more, I don't want to say had he been more cautious, but I want to say if he takes a different approach against Poirier, he puts Poirier out. But he didn't.
Very possible,
he went for the big bomb, right? Go ahead.
But it's not, I think you're wrong in that. I don't think it's about, for Chandler necessarily, I don't think it's about winning fights. I think it's about being one of the only guys we've ever seen who literally has 3-7 and 2-6 record and is getting top fights. You want to know why?
Because he's excited.
Because he's made it a priority to be that guy, and he's still getting paid. Exactly what
I said. But that's exactly what I said. Was he's trying to be exciting? He's trying to do those things. Right, but that's why I'm saying that it's one thing to say, okay, he's exciting, and I agree. I like Michael Chandler a lot, right? He's exciting. But we don't get to separate that from his record, because his efforts to be exciting is what's costing him some of these fights. He's been in these fights. He's been in an advantage position in a lot of these fights. He's been where we're all like, yo, this shit's about to be over. And he fucks it off. That's what I'm getting at. He's going this effort to be exciting. And he has said it himself. And I guess that's where we can't separate that, because anybody else, we'd say, this motherfucker's lost like 4 fucking fights. We just finished saying Justin Gaethje been getting fucking tapped up. There's no difference. Yeah, you want to be exciting, cool, but you lost. And yes, that's the reason he's getting these extra fights, because he's exciting. Because at the end of the day, it's about entertainment. But we can't remove the actual fighting from it, the actual record from it, because these aren't exhibitions. It's about your record. It's about winning. It's about, I'm in here to win a fight and be exciting. But he's like, yo, I'm just here for a good time. And we love it. I love it. I told you, I love Michael Chandler for that reason. But I almost always expect him to lose.
If he beats McGregor, does he get a title shot?
I don't think he should.
I'm not.
But stranger things occur.
It's not about should, because I just brought up the fact
just said why.
This dude's been fucking taking L's, and he's in main event still for not getting the title.
No, that's what I'm saying. You said why. You're absolutely right. No, and that's why I said I don't think he should, but I would not be in the slightest bit surprised. But okay, now here's me saying this as trying to
take the whole division. Take the whole division, like the situation into account. And this is why I bring this up, right? So at the end of the day, if the sport is 100% pure, all right, and you get judged on your actions,
right,
we would have some of the most boring, fast championship fights.
Benil Dariush. Benil Dariush.
Thank you.
Right there.
Dana's always been good about kind of tinkering with that, right? So
yes.
We've had these guys battling each other. Nobody's really stepped up and stepped out. It's one and done kind of thing.
Yes.
And then finally Charles gets a couple. Like, all right, we got a guy. And then they fucking give him Islam, and Charles for whatever reason didn't really account for his striking.
Yeah,
He
Charles
took a
shit the bed on that
couple
one.
shots, and it shook him and took him off his game plan. And Islam went, okay, now it's time, and gripped him up, and that was that.
Yeah, Charles shit the bed on that fight. I still say that. I know everyone likes to say, "Oh, well, Islam beat Charles." Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Charles shit the bed. As much as Islam won the fight, I still believe Charles largely lost that fight.
Yeah, I would agree.
It didn't feel like Islam was just overly dominant or anything like that. It felt like Charles did what he normally does. He didn't really do a good job of fighting the fighter he was fighting. Made mistakes. Islam made him pay for it, which is Islam's job, obviously. But it feels like Charles lost that fight versus, Islam just beating him.
Yeah, and so we'll see. I think we'll get the rematch. I don't think it's going to happen right away between Volkanovski and Islam. We got too many.
I don't want to see that right away. I don't want to see that.
No, I don't either.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I want to see it at all. I don't want to see them fight again.
I don't think we need to.
No, we don't. And I guess the other reason is it kind of speaks back to what you said about, the magic that Dana does, right? The magic that Dana does also leaves the division just kind of in limbo over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
That's what I was going to say. I think
that
we got some
shit feels
questions. Like, you earned his shot, so Volk's got to come back and fight him now.
Right.
As far as Islam goes, I don't know what the hell we're going to do. I think they're going to try to hold off until at least, I think they're going to try to let Chandler Connor fight before they do that, or they're going to come up with some interim bullshit. I don't know, but they're going to try to hold that decision off as long as possible because there's no clear cut. I mean, you should give Charles his rematch, but I don't know that Dana's going to do that.
I thought I heard somewhere. I mean, I know it isn't confirmed yet, but I know they were trying to get Beneil Dariush and Charles as the next fight to kind of be a preamble to the next opponent for Islam. But it goes back to something. It goes back to something you just said though about an exciting fight versus a not so exciting fight.
Yeah, that can't headline a pay-per-view card by itself.
Not at all.
Let's just put it that way.
That's exactly. They're absolutely right about it too. Absolutely right.
But lucky for us, we're going to be spoiled for God. I think the next month and a half, 2 months between. So next weekend we got Jones and Cyril. Then we got the Usman the Usman rematch, and then we got Izzy rematch coming up. I think they're all bang, bang, bang like next 3 months here. So we are. I am excited for. Look, I think the whole MMA world wants to see. All right, what's John Jones look like at heavyweight? We've been waiting 2 years for this.
Yeah, man.
If, and I knock on wood. I don't want this to be a Khabib Ferguson situation where we keep getting teased and this doesn't happen. I want to see Jones as a heavyweight. So
yeah,
and then I expect Usman to come out like gangbusters. He's been hearing the talk. He's been hearing it. So he feels like I might bet my house on that fight because of how Usman's that thing went down, man. He lost in the last goddamn 10 seconds of the fight.
Yeah. Usman's gonna win that fight. That one I'm calling now. I don't usually make my calls until pretty much the same week of. However, that one I'm calling right now. Usman's gonna win that fight. I know I go on file as being a big Jorge Masvidal fan. Jorge's getting his shit pushed in this fight.
Dude, they dug the fucking grave for him.
Full on grave. Fight. Everybody's out there singing fucking old Negro spirituals and shit. Because homeboy's gone. Homeboy's done right here. Because Burns looked fucking phenomenal against Neil Magny, and if we're being fair, Burns looked amazing even against Khamzat, where everybody was like, "Yeah, Khamzat's the greatest thing since Khabib," and then Burns basically had dude ready to call uncle for a minute, where he was like, "Yo, I didn't get in for this shit," and it was a battle, 3 rounds. If that fight's a 5-rounder, I still believe Burns wins that fight. 3 rounds, it's a little tough, So yeah, I think that's almost a foregone conclusion for me, because it's not gonna be some lucky knee shit like Jorge did with Ben Askren. And it's not gonna be that shit that Colby did with Masvidal, where he just kind of toyed with him for 4 or 5 rounds of bullshit, right? It's gonna be a wrap early, and it doesn't help that Jorge talks a lot of shit, and I respect him for it. I love it, except this ain't that guy. This is not that guy. It's going to be a problem if he gets in there in that respect.
Yeah, I haven't really heard anything coming out of Mr. Masvidal lately. He may have said something, I missed it, but usually when he's getting ready to fight and it's been announced and we're getting close, he's usually, he tries to play the reverse Connor shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm from the streets, blah blah blah. It's the same fucking routine every time.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't heard that, and that's probably smart because right now you got to hope Gilbert takes pity on you and drops you.
Yeah, you just haven't heard
round
it.
Because
nah, you just haven't heard it. He's been doing it.
All right, well then,
he had an interview with Ariel Helwani, and he was kind of like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fuck this guy up." His usual. It's almost annoying at this point because he's almost saying the same thing he normally says, and you're at a point now where dude, you know what, dude, you've been saying that each fight, and each fight you end up either on your face or with a huge ass L. So now we need you to show up. We need you to do it. He's almost on some fucking Tyron Woodley shit at this point. Like where Tyron Woodley would be like, like you'd be expecting Tyron Woodley to let it fly and he never does. And in the lead up, he's all, yeah, I'm going to put this motherfucker through the mat. I'm going to fucking put him through the cage, yada, 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 all this other shit. And he gets in a fight and he's like, maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, that's going to be a good fight only because, Jorge's a gamesman. So he'll show up if nothing else.
And then Gilbert will play with his food, I think, for a round or two.
I agree.
I really do.
Agree.
Or
it's painful.
Gilbert
to
will be trying to set him up,
or he'll be trying to set him up for a better knockout than the one he could just get in the first minute. I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be a game. Like I just feel like it's gonna be a full-on game.
Yeah, Gilbert's been that dude for a couple fights now. I think he might be the next name to kind of work his way up and whatnot. But look the hell out, man. It's not pretty. I don't know. I maybe this is a going away gift for Masvidal from Dana because I can't see it as anything else. But here's your last payday. Enjoy it because it's good night. Gilbert's got to be chomping at the bit, like just I don't even know. I mean, look, let me get through Jones and see how he looks because I think people are underestimating Surreal. I think the Francis fight, he really held his own, and people didn't give him the respect he deserved from that fight. They weren't watching the right things. But again, it's John Jones, man, and he wants Stipe. He wants to try to get that payday, so I don't see him losing because I think his ultimate goal is to fight Stipe. It's not to win the belt back. It's to beat Stipe because Jones is real big on being the best ever.
History.
Wants it in heavyweight division 2 now. He owns light heavyweight. He's the greatest light heavyweight that's ever fought. Arguably the greatest fighter that's ever fought. Arguably, because there's people who are just never going to give him his flowers because of his personal shit. That's fine.
I don't really. Yeah.
But you beat Stipe. You come in. Stipe's the last great heavyweight still hanging around that he can fight.
Right.
And he's got to knock Stipe off. He wants to own another division. So I like that Jones still is about the history, legacy. Not a lot of these guys are doing it like that anymore. We'll see. But Chandler McGregor's going to be, I think, a bloodbath too, all way. Not as much as Burns Masvidal, but pretty damn close. I think Chandler might help put a big ass dent in the McGregor legacy here.
I'm not even.
I'm glad he got his I'm glad he got his proper 12 money selling that shit off.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I'm not really sure what's left because at this point, everybody's treating him like a joke. I want him to bounce back and have a hell of a fight. I don't even care if he wins one or the other. I just want him to come back and have a hell of a fight. Not that shit he pulled with Poirier getting his fucking face beat in before he broke his leg. I want him to come back in true McGregor style, and bang that shit out a little bit, even if he loses, because then it gives everyone a little pause to keep throwing shots. Everybody can throw shots right now because he keeps fucking losing and losing like decisively. He's not just getting taken to decisions. He's getting fucked up in these fights. And the only thing he has to show for that same period of time is a win over fucking Cowboy. So everybody's cracking jokes. I want him to come back and really, really, really hold his own. It's gonna be dope.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. I mean, again, exciting times in the MMA world, and then who knows, man? Maybe we'll get a Jake Paul Professional Fighters League fight sometime soon. I mean, talked a lot of shit, but still didn't have a fight scheduled.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
Well, I want to see him in a cage. I want to see him in a cage.
Couldn't give a shit less. I respect all folks who do. I couldn't give a shit less.
Well, I think he's got to fight Tommy Fury first, which is just a joke of a boxing match.
Yes.
I don't even care.
No,
Like
not at all.
at this
I'm right there
point,
with
Jake
you.
Paul should beat fucking Tommy Fury.
Yeah, it's like you
Like,
want.
it's
It's
not
like, come on,
even-
dude, just finish the shit off. Like, just
Yeah.
do what you got to do and get it over with, so we can go on about our business. We're all tired. We're all tired. Now.
Yeah, well, it'll get worked out. It'll get worked out. So
All right,
you
let's
know,
get out of here, dude. We've been
Yeah.
doing a little bit of a show, a little late, but that's okay. We appreciate everyone who is with us or has been with us this week. Next week we'll actually be back on some softball shit for the most part. Next week we didn't really talk about the weekend over at NCS. Didn't talk about some of the complaints as far as the spot. I know we talk about the spot very often. I know. I mean, it's a recurring theme because everybody makes an issue about the spot. But I hope next week we'll actually talk about the spot. I like the idea of giving a little space between when these issues occur, because people seem to take some of the things that we say or our opinions about some of the things that occur. They take them pretty tightly on the chin. And maybe it's because it's so close to when it happens, or maybe there's a little bit of shame within what they're going through. So maybe it's going to be kind of good to be able to talk about it a little away from it, so everybody's feelers aren't hurt. But I think
everybody
it's a good
hang in there
topic.
and make a note. We'll get to
Right.
it. We're gonna
Yeah,
wait
I think
a week, that's all.
it's a good topic because it really does bring up some of the inequities within the different divisions of softball, and some of the choices and why those choices are made. And I know that why doesn't always make people feel better, but the why is the why, and that's that's all you can really ask for. And I know we're going to get out of here, and I do want to say this. I did see someone say something that I absolutely agree with. Even though I love the team, I love Sophisticated, I love those guys completely, and even Tootie who made the post. But there was something that someone said in there, and it hit me and made me chuckle because it was so obviously true. But he's like, that was the rule before the tournament started.
And we get back to the
all
one
I
I've
could
been
do was-
screaming about.
And all I could do was go, yeah.
The problem, right? And I've screamed this a million times. Look, you don't have a problem with a rule until it affects you, and then all of a sudden it's the worst thing ever. But the year, 6 months, 2 years before that, not a peep. So again, that's a great, you signed up for the tournament. You paid your money. You played the games before that without a problem. So again, it always comes back to the same thing. Grow a set
at the same time,
and get better.
But it's tough at the same time because sometimes it feels like, and that's why I want to talk about it removed from the weekend, right? Because sometimes your response is fueled by, damn, we didn't pull it off. You're not really bitching or saying, you're not really trying to avoid accepting that you simply lost. You're not really trying to do that. But at that moment, it's still sticking in your neck. Like, God, how the fuck did we? And you start thinking of ways that you could have won. You start saying, well, I mean, if we didn't have to give them 5 runs, and then you speak it out. So I don't really look at it as entirely negative, right? I always look at it as kind of, it's a moment. It doesn't change the facts, like you said, that the rule is the rule. You signed up for it. Do better, be better, beat them. If you know you got 5 runs to get, you make up 5 runs. You know what I mean? I always look at it. I always look at it as the feeling behind it, the mindset behind it, and the human behind it, and then there's the truth. And the truth is, you knew they had 5. You knew they had a 5-run spot. You got to make up that spot. And we actually played them. That's the worst part is we played Lone Stars a little 2 games prior to that game. And we went in the game with, okay, they have 5. We absolutely have to score this many runs in these first 3 innings, and we have to break them for at least 2 of those innings. When we did that, it offset the spot immediately. And at that point, you could call it 0-0. And then it was just a matter of beating them. And I think it's a strategy thing. I don't necessarily, I don't feel that I disagree with the rule, and I don't necessarily agree with the rule. I just don't know that there's a better way to do that. And then me, I'm always saying I hate the spot. I always say it. And for always, and I will not change that. I hate the spot, but I understand it. I understand why. I understand the logistics around it. I understand that there are very few teams in that division, and for them to not be able to play is kind of injustice, and also, let's be real, that's money lost. So, the sanctions are going to do what they can to make sure that they get the money. There's that too.
I mean, that's what everybody's going to scream, but also listen. And that's an easy one to jump on, right? Like,
course,
they don't want to lose that 450 or whatever. And
of course,
I have the unique perspective of being somewhat of a director for both sanctions, all right? So listen, at the end of the day, you can believe me if you want. I really don't give a shit at this point. I think that's obvious. It's very hard to tell anyone, oh yeah, you can't play.
Right.
You can't play.
Right.
Either you're too good or we don't have enough of your kind. 50s or 60s or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
But at the end of the day, I guarantee if you go back and look at any of these situations objectively, there's something that the team who lost, they didn't do. Maybe it's an error. Maybe it's walks. Maybe you scored fucking 1 and 0 in 2 straight innings. It's,
agreed.
I guarantee you 95% of the time I'm going to find something.
Yes.
Where I could go, spot really didn't affect. So, the end of the day, we'll wait a week and really dive into next week so everybody has a little more time to cool down, and hopefully we can look into those things instead of, well, this is bullshit and I'm not going to play that sanction anymore because they don't make it fair and blah blah. We're going to get away from all that bullshit and give it a week.
Yes, sir. All right, appreciate it, everyone. Have a good one. We will see you guys next week on time at 6:30, and you know how it goes. Peace.